My name is Michael Fulton. I'm the sales manager for VMoto in Europe and the Americas. Thank you, Richard, for your compliments on our scooter, which I know you are welcome to spin a little bit after the presentation. We're not a new company. This is our founder, Patrick Davin. We were founded in Australia 13 years ago. In 2010, he took the decision to move the company away from its traditional base of petrol scooters, which it was importing into Australia and New Zealand, and into the electric scooter market, which it did so through an acquisition of Emax Germany, which had been in the electric scooter market since 2007. So with that acquisition in 2010, we took the German technology, Italian design. The design of the scooters is from Ducati, and we coupled that with low manufacturing costs in China. We built our own manufacturing facility in China beginning in 2009. We're one of the last companies in this sector to get permission to 100% own our facility there, rather than giving 51% to a Chinese company or the Chinese government. So we've been listed in Australia since 2002 on the ASX. And then had a successful listing on AIM just over a month ago. We have capacity for 300,000 scooters at our facility in Nanjing, China. We have European management, Australian management there. All our Chinese workers are ex-Honda, so we maintain very high levels of quality. Unlike a lot of manufacturers in China, we realize if we want to sell, we've got a very tight-knit and professional list of distributors. So we have distributors in 27 different countries around the world. You might ask why not more than 27 countries, but basically wherever our products can be sold, we have a distributor. These are not small distributors. We aim pretty high. You might say we kind of aim higher than the market is right now, but it's important for us to be with long-term partners. In Netherlands, our distributor is a €2 billion company. They distribute for Toyota, Suzuki. In South Africa, our distributor is the largest vehicle importer in Southern Africa. Colombia, our distributor controls 85% of the market, has been in the industry for almost 100 years. As well as our distribution network, which sells our own products, we've got significant OEM deals. The most recent that I'll come on to later. And yeah, over 200 employees. We keep quite a tight-knit company. We're not spending excessively. It is still a small market, but rapidly growing. But we're not doing mistakes that some predecessors in this market did, not to mention an American company, which got through $65 million in expenses. We are the #1 selling brand in Europe, and we are the widest distributed electric scooter company outside of China. Just to briefly explain the electric market, the motorcycle industry has been quite badly hit in recent times. In Europe, the biggest markets traditionally been Spain and Italy, where obviously the economy has seen a drop, but the electric part of the market is the fastest growing segment. You can attribute that mostly because our products are not so dissimilar from the petrol brothers. If you're looking at electric cars, everybody talks about range anxiety, the difficulties, the top speeds. With our scooters, we achieve ranges in excess of what anybody travels on a petrol scooter, and our pricing is almost the same. And I think that's the main reason why the electric car industry is still starting, and the electric scooter industry is one of the fastest growing. Bike research, I'll come up to in a second. There's their graph. So by 2017, expect 120 million electric scooters to be sold in the world. And as I said, right now we're the #1 outside of China, so we're in a very good position to capitalize on that. This is just Bike Research's, again, impression of where we are in the market, which puts us the #1 challenger, behind some large Chinese companies which sell huge volumes in China, and behind 2 very small American companies. You might say they're in the contenders You might surmise that Pack Research is an American company, so they're a close relationship. That's our product. The end customer market is still quite small, so until now we've focused mostly on fleet sales because they're the early adopters for this technology, mostly because of the running costs. Our scooters run at about 1/10 of the cost of petrol scooters. The example shown here is TNT Post Germany, and we've got several contracts like that around the world. Korea, Spain, TNT Post Italy, Korea, Brazil, and we're talking to several others in Mexico, North America, and several countries in Europe. Painting technology, we've got 12 paints on the scooter, 80 km/h speed, which is, again, about as much as you need, long range up to 130 kilometers, zero emissions, obviously, and very strong quality. I mean, the fleet sales that we've reached are not easily come by. Korea, Spain tested our scooters for 6 months in all conditions across Spain. So very rigorous testing, and we always stand up to that, and that's why we keep winning these tenders. I think somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was Michael, about the removable batteries. We already have that in the scooter. It's obviously much more simpler in a vehicle of this size compared to cars. So this is our ATL model, which was made for cities, which sells particularly well in France, Netherlands, Belgium. So it has the removable battery, which you can see here, kind of suitcase style. So you just pick it out the scooter, pick up the handle, and you can roll it into your office or into your apartment. And again, as Michael said, that just gets away from all the people say, where can I charge the scooter? Well, you can charge the scooter anywhere you want. It also opens up the possibility to swap the batteries as well. So we're talking with some companies, Repsol being one of those, where they would store these batteries at the petrol stations. You can just go along and swap them as you go. That's our normal end customer product. So it's a two-seater. You know, it's not a small, it's not a toy. It's quite a significant product, and it's selling well. That's our manufacturing facility, which we built, 30,000 square meters, capacity for 300,000 units. We're nowhere near that at the moment, but we wanted to prepare for the future growth, especially as the land costs in China were rising so rapidly. In Europe, again, to get away from a problem that some other manufacturers face is the sales and the service support. We're not just shipping product out of China and that's where we leave it. We have a support center in Spain, and we're soon opening one in Germany as well, which handles all the spare parts, the after-sales service, technical training, marketing and sales assistance. So although we're manufacturing in China, we keep this European face to everything, so all the contact with the customers is done through our European operations. That's just an overview of where our distributors are. Naturally focused on Europe because that's the biggest market so far. China is the overall biggest market, but the products there are cheaper than ours, but I'll come to an announcement that we made quite recently which gives us access to that market. We just appointed a distributor in USA last 2 weeks ago, and we'll have quite a significant announcement about Brazil next month. Just to get back to the other business that we do, we sell these products through our network of distributors, and then we began some OEM manufacturing a couple of years back. The most recent one of those are these two, Power Eagle and Metropolis. So to enter the Chinese market, which is probably about 19 or 20 million units of electric scooters this year, we formed an alliance with Power Eagle. It's an $86 million deal. Just bear in mind when I'm talking about these numbers, our break-even point is 8,000 units. So we've got 42,000 units just for Power Eagle next year, which sends us into profitability. They're about number 3 or 4 in the Chinese market, so not only can we produce their scooters for them on an OEM basis, but also gives us access to the Chinese market with our existing products, which are high in margin. The second one, Metropolis, they're a German company, founded in 2008. They're the biggest electric scooter brand in Germany and Italy, and our agreement with them is $24 million, 15,000 units over 3 years. Then we have an existing contract with Vectrix to make an electric scooter for them. Organic growth, as I said, we've got 27 distributors, so we're not relying on these OEM deals day in, day out. We're producing scooters for customers all over the world. In France, we have 100 dealers. In Colombia, we have 650 dealers. So these products are on the road every day. Our factory is producing scooters every day. We're not a startup. These scooters have been on the road since 2007 and expanding rapidly. Just to conclude, because I was pushed for time, we are number one in the market. We've now entered the Chinese market, which is the largest in the world. We own our own manufacturing license. The Chinese government recently clamped down on existing manufacturers in China that were producing electric scooters, but putting up the license for electric bicycles. That's where the deal with Power Eagle came from. So there are a lot of manufacturers in China that will either go out of business or they'll have to find somebody like us with the license. And then similar to Metropolis, the deal we signed in Germany, there's a lot of companies out there which have made a good job of marketing electric scooters, but have been stuck with a low-quality Chinese manufacturer. We call ourselves an oasis of quality in China with the Western management. So we expect to do a lot more deals like that and save these companies from poor quality. Experienced varied management team. We do have some Chinese management, ex-Honda, and then from Australia, and now we're listing on AIM. We'll be appointing at least one or two directors based here in London as well. So yeah, I shall conclude with that. Any questions, please? Yes, sir?
You looked like you're moving from niche to mainstream.
Yes.
So then Honda will break up into a week.
Yeah.
Any ideas how you defend yourself against that?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a common question, is what do we do when the big guns come, Hondas, etc. As I said, with 120 million units, there's always going to be a place for several companies, especially in the fleet market, where our greatest asset really is the way that we can individualize our scooters for each customer. So every customer comes to us and says how they want it to look, where they want the weight, how they want to carry it, and we do that. Companies like Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha, they're into the mainstream mass market. An example, our Lebanese distributor made a tender for 2,000 units of Kawasaki scooters to the police. He called Kawasaki with this order, and they said, you can't have the scooter in white, and if you're selling it to the police, there's no warranty. So that's the way they operate. They're looking at the mass market. And it's not an easy field to get into. I mean, we've got 5 years experience. Honda demonstrated some electric scooters in Barcelona last year, and achieved a range of 19 kilometers with those scooters. That was after several years of testing. And final point, all those big manufacturers, they're relying almost completely on their profit from after sales. They sell the products almost at cost price, and then all the revenue comes from parts and servicing after that. Our scooters are maintenance free. So if they went mainstream with our products, they'd effectively bankrupt themselves.
Do you think if you guys are on a global basis,
Yes.
relatively a lot smaller than some of the Chinese, I guess, aren't they going to suddenly have huge cost advantages over you vis-a-vis sort of selling to someone else's brand?
Yeah, I mean, just to take Metropolis as an example, they have been manufacturing since 2008 with another Chinese manufacturer, which is one of the largest, and they've had a complete nightmare. The big Chinese manufacturers, yeah, they've got low costs, they could do huge volume, but the quality is a million miles from what's acceptable in Europe or the Western world. And frankly speaking, they have no concept of how you would ever achieve that quality. The product sold in China, it's a short term, it's a 6-month warranty. It's kind of a fix on every street corner product. It's not a scooter that would ever last an hour on the streets of London.
Okay, just be careful with Chinese guys, they tend to catch up pretty quickly, so...
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Michael, isn't that to a certain extent why the Chinese government has imposed this crackdown on licensing to get rid of all these people because they're so substandard?
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese government has as the man in front intimated, was that they're very good at copying, and the Chinese government is in some way trying to copy the Japanese government. The Jap crack to Jap quality is the terminology. So the Chinese government is conscious of getting away from this image of cheap and low quality manufacturing. And, you know, we're kind of a shining star in China. We're lauded as the professional company in this market.
You mentioned the vehicle had German engineering and Italian styling.
Yes.
Whereabouts are your products actually designed now? Are they in Europe or?
Most of the new product design is done in Barcelona. When we as VMoto took over Emax, the old company, was based in Munich. We already had an operation in Barcelona, so we moved most things to there, and that's where we do most of the design.